Yeah.
So we had a bit of a task ahead of us a while ago because I want to start doing some old game reviews because I'm an old man who likes his old games. Commodore 64 shirt not included. So I was like, I'm going to try Doom 3. Barely tried the game on release because I hate scary games. But I'm like, it's old now, not scary, easy. But I thought you guys would be fucking cool to give it a crack too because you can still get it on PlayStation and Xbox. So we all gave it a bit of a run. I definitely didn't complete it, but I got pretty far before I was just like, and kind of just gave up. What were your thoughts, guys?
Yeah, so I didn't get that far, I'll be honest, largely because, so first of all, I started playing it, and I did not select easy, and I discovered that was a mistake, mostly because it was a bit jank, and I couldn't quite get the hang of it. In some ways, it didn't feel like other first-person shooters. Like, I'd be like perfectly on aim, and then slightly nudge and be like, it's a nice roof. And I tried playing with the sensitivity, but I just couldn't get it quite right. And the story just didn't pull me in. And I felt like, and at first I was filming this as like a play as review, I felt like all of it was not as good as it should have been even at the time it was released. Like the intro, I was like, why does this look like a PlayStation 1 game? Like,
Okay, so to add some context, because I have already done my own personal review of this, and it is up on my YouTube, go check it out. But reviewed at the time, visually, it was fucking amazing.
Was it? It
Really?
didn't.
That-
It didn't
that's like
strike like that
everything
to
that
me.
you-
though.
Yeah.
2003
replayed old
though,
game and
that's
it just hurts your
19
eyes.
years ago.
Yeah.
That game is
I still
19
felt
years-
like there was
Okay,
better.
so Half-Life 2 had not come out. Grand Theft Auto 3 only came out 2 years prior. I don't know where we were on the Call of Duty scale, but I believe Call of Duty 4 was 2008.
Yeah,
so,
right. So it was early.
so it would have been like maybe
I get
not
that.
even the first Call of Duty would have come out at that time. So
Times were different. Times were different back then.
So I
my
guess,
friend.
the
yeah,
dark
aside from
times.
that, obviously I didn't enjoy it all that much. Had a bit of fun with it. Did anyone else think that the first dude you walk into who talks, it looks like Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah. He
You know,
looked just like
yeah,
token,
I
very
had a
much
whole
token.
bit. Yeah, Claire was in another room and she was like listening to me be like, all right, if this dude, because I was doing it as a play review at first, I was like, if this guy says motherfucker 3 times, then it's definitely him. And he's just like, oh, I can't wait to get off this rock. You should too. And I was like, but motherfucker? I don't. It never
And then,
came.
like 5 minutes later, he explodes, and you're like, "Oh yeah, cool."
So
Yeah, pretty much.
on the discussion of story, right? That's one of the sticking points that really bothered me because the Doom games don't have a whole lot of story. It's you are guy.
It's an excuse to shoot stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. You've got Hellspawn, you shoot some shit, you have a good time. But they put so much story into it for a Doom game, but it came off really sort of like hoorah,
Flat.
sort of.
Mm.
It was very like American military centric. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like it was like Call of Duty in space as far as storyline goes. Like I say that.
Oh, you know what it reminds me
It's
of?
a way more complex storyline, but yeah, go on.
The like military politics from the Avatar movie.
Never seen it.
That's what. Not the Last Airbender. The
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them.
The actual one. Really?
okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll,
That's
we'll
weird.
discuss that at
Alright.
another fucking. We'll discuss that at another time. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, yeah, there's like a military politics in that is exactly like the Doom game, and I guess Justin can probably
Yeah,
take it from
I feel
there
ya.
as well
I
as.
feel ya. Look, I don't know. It was just it was super dark, and I get that because they need it for the jump scares, which there was a lot of. Like in
Yeah, every 5 steps.
yeah,
it's like
every,
the floor
every corner you
disappears.
go around, it's like bang. You're like, okay, cool, all right. And like the whole premise of it is like introduce enemy A. Okay, learn how to kill it. All right, introduce enemy B plus weapon B. Okay, cool. Now I have 2 different weapons and 2 different enemies. introduce enemy C plus another weapon to go with that. And like they just sort of give you more ammunition and more different like arsenal to basically go up against more enemies, and then they just throw more and more of the same enemies joined together. It just like I don't know, it's just an old method of video games that has seemed to somewhat die out nowadays. It's very dungeon crawl-esque, like, you know.
It felt like a way to give you leveling, like levels without calling them levels. Like instead of it being level 1, you do this.
Weapon
level 2. It pretty much did that without actually the loading screen between.
That is sort of how most first-person shooters work. Like they're scaling the difficulty, but they're balancing,
giving you a better arsenal,
everything as well. And like Doom 2016 still did that as well. However, Doom 2016, the way they approached bringing in enemies and stuff like that, and the way combat worked was so much more fluid and enjoyable. Whereas in this, it was like, oh, you've got a tight corridor and there's 3 zombie guys walking. Guess I'll shoot them. Pow, pow. And it was very much like they're like, okay, we've got the Doom world. Let's make a survival horror game out of it. Like,
and
Resident
I don't know,
Evil
just
and that sort of stuff.
It just didn't come off interesting. It was very dungeon crawl and very linear, and then you had certain doors you had to unlock, and it was just like, oh, fuck's sake. And then like the little lock boxes here and there that were kind of pointless, because you'd go in there and you'd find armor that you've already wearing, or you've got a gun that you already got, or ammo you don't even need. Quite often was the case, and you go to all the trouble of finding the passcode, which you have to go through lore for, which is terrible.
And it doesn't pre-fill the fucking passcode for you.
It's so annoying.
Oh my god, it's so frustrating, dude. So all in all, I guess it's hard to say for its time, because for its time I didn't play it in its time, and I wasn't playing it then. So I guess maybe back then it was good, but to play it now, it just doesn't stand. So I don't think it stood the breadth of however many years it has been. So
yeah,
what year did you say it came out?
2003.
Yeah, right. So it does not survive for that long, unfortunately, in my eyes.
I also probably preferred the Doom movie, which was fucking terrible, more than that game.
So I think the key takeaway.
But The Rock was great.
I think the key
first
takeaway
person shooter in a movie.
That scene though was pretty cool. I gotta say that was like the one cool thing. But as far as Doom 3 the game, I really think the problem was that when they brought in the survival horror mechanics, they kept the stuff from the fluid first person shooter stuff, like the keys and finding puzzles and stuff, that didn't really complement it, the style of game that had been created.
Yeah, I think so. The mashup wasn't quite
too
right.
much.
Yeah, because there wasn't that much survival horror. It was just, let's make the game dark with a flickering light and jump scares. Like that was all it was. Like the same horror
there was
creatures
no,
could be found in Dooms, the other Dooms. It was just
Yeah, for a survival horror, like I want to like be more like, oh, how do I get warmth? How do I get like survival elements? Whereas the only survival in this was
like maybe they could have made some labs
weaponry
like really cold, like so an explosion of cryogenics or whatever blows up, and you have to go to certain areas that have light or heat. Something like that might not have been too far out of their reach even back then, to just have icing up of the screen, and as it ices up then you die. It's been done before in other games. So I don't know, if they just put a little bit more survival in there and a little bit less attempt at horror, then I think they might have been onto something. But
yeah,
no harm,
but
no
thanks
foul.
for
I guess it
recommending
went
a game that none of us enjoyed.
Yeah,
it was great.
You're welcome. But like at the end of the day, we all learnt something.
That's it. And it's
Don't
not
buy Doom 3.
I was like, it's about the journey and the friends we made
That's exactly
on the way.
what I was about to say.
Flawless.